You're watching the Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. Today's topic, how small improvements to your smile can make a big difference. According to my first guest, it could even change your life, how people perceive you, and more importantly, how you feel about yourself. With us, we have Seattle's cosmetic dentist, Dr. Lance Timmerman. Dr. Timmerman, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I should say welcome back. We had you talking about dental implants the last time.
Correct.
But you do a lot more than that.
We do just about everything. We cleanings and fillings, bleaching.
So everything. I mean, you do all the basic stuff?
Pretty much. There's very little that leaves that we don't do.
But when you say like one-stop shop, in dentistry, what does that mean?
Well, I don't have to refer out some of the procedures and then only do the other second part.
Okay.
I can actually place the implant. I can restore the implant. A lot of offices only restore the implant and refer out.
That means put the tooth on top.
Right.
So surgery is one place.
I can do the surgery and the restoration instead of just the restoration. So we can do it all.
Do you make dentures there?
We do. We do make dentures. We also have a solution for those that have dentures and don't want dentures.
Okay.
The dentures coming in and out, people want something that stays put. So as the word on the street is getting out that we can place 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 implants in there, we can change everything.
Now, cosmetic dentistry, it's I guess like you say, everything you do is cosmetic, right? But I mean, what are the categories? If you had to categorize, what falls into that? Like a smile makeover kind of a thing?
Smile makeover is what most people are thinking when they think cosmetic dentistry. Tooth-colored fillings is probably the most basic type of cosmetic dentistry that we do. Tooth-colored crowns instead of just a metal gold crown.
Is that popular, by the way? I mean, people that have the old stuff and they want the new stuff?
Well, things wear out, so when it's time to upgrade, many times they want something newer, fresher looking, natural looking.
All right. And now what about technology in your office?
We have the latest and greatest of just about everything. We use CAD/CAM technology to make sure that the accuracy of the impression is as good as possible. We have a lot of engineers in Seattle, so the Boeing executives and the engineers themselves, they really get into 3D CAD/CAM.
Like, how do you use that with a patient, by the way? You're showing them things? What?
Many times it's showing them what we can do, but many times for the impression, instead of the gooey, drippy stuff that goes in the back of your throat and makes you gag, we actually have a camera that can actually take a picture of the tooth and then send that information to the lab to have that.
So camera goes in their mouth, no more of the impression stuff.
Right.
Is that right?
And it's accurate. The biggest thing about that, the technology's been around for a long time, but the accuracy is only getting better and better, and we're finally at the point now where it's the best in dentistry is using CAD/CAM.
Okay, what about x-rays? Like digital now?
Digital.
Everything's digital?
Everything's digital. So my digital photos, my digital x-rays, the x-rays themselves, a lot less radiation. So there's the health factor, but then also the instant, we can show you on a big screen what's wrong with the tooth as opposed to trying to describe that little dot on a little black square.
Sure. Now, at the top of the show, I said, according to my first guest, a smile can really change their life.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that. I mean, you see people that, you fix their smile, not to downplay it, but you fix their smile.
Well, a lot of times it's like we're helping with their self-esteem. They're self-conscious, or they're grumpy. A lot of people,
right.
They have a personality change when they get to feel better about themselves. And part of the self-esteem is how they feel about their smile. And so we get to participate in that part.
Like what kind of changes? I mean, like when they come back for their follow-ups, you see them dress differently, look differently?
We had one woman, she came in, she actually lost 30 pounds between the time we started and by the time we were all done. She was inspired with the changes, the small changes we're making initially, led her to go to the gym. She started losing weight. She had just gone through a divorce. Well, she just got a new boyfriend, lost the weight. Her whole outlook on life was totally different.
Well, smile is definitely attractive. Since our last meeting, you said that, smile is very important. And, when you Google this, what do you look for in a mate? What's attractive? Smile's always there.
It's usually
like 1, 2, or 3 or whatever.
It's usually in the top 3. I would say most of the time it's with one or two.
Do you notice them, by the way, wherever you go? Like you're out and about, you see it?
My friends, when they're out and about, they look at different parts of people. I'm always looking to smile.
So when you're out, though, and about, can you spot people trying to hide their smile?
Yeah, the way that they talk many times can reveal that they're hiding it. Sometimes in social settings, people sometimes will smile and laugh and they'll cover it up. So that's the dead giveaway. That's the easy one to spot. But some people, they'll train themselves on how they smile to not really show teeth. So in a dental setting, when I first meet them for the first time and I'm taking pictures to document things, and I'll say, okay, now give me a smile. They'll give me that pursed lip grin. And
they smile with their mouth closed.
Yeah, and so then I have to...
Even to a dentist they do this?
You'd think it would be obvious that they shouldn't, But no, they do that all the time. They're just used to it. That's how they've been trained or trained themselves.
You know, going into this interview, I always think that you guys being dentists, are exaggerating about the importance of the smile, right? I mean, I told you that.
Yeah.
And that's why, and for people watching this, we're talking about cosmetic dentistry or smile makeovers, how small improvements can make a big difference. But the photos you showed me in the green room are absolutely dramatic. So I want people to stick around for that because that's really good. But so with people, and some people have the money, but they don't do anything about their smile. So what's your take? You think it's their fear of the dentist? What is it?
Usually it's the fear of the dentist. There's two factors there. Many people, if they have the money, they're successful. Well, the smile didn't hold them back, so the improvement wasn't really a priority for them.
Okay.
But we've seen other people who they have the money, but they're just scared. Some of my best cases were the real phobic people, and the only thing holding them back really was just
that fear of the dentist.
The
what do you do to deal with somebody like that?
Well, we have 3 levels of sedation that we can do. Nitrous, the gas, laughing gas.
That stuff is good.
That's the classic.
I told you.
Yeah,
you guys don't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
Because that's relaxing.
Yeah. We use the nitrous for kind of the first level. It takes the edge off. You're still there. We can still talk to you.
And you come right out of it, right?
And it evaporates very quickly.
Okay.
And so you can be in and out, and people get their teeth cleaned with it. It's a nice way to just get over that initial anxiety. Some people need a little bit more than that, and so we do have a pill that we can give people, or a series of pills for them we call conscious sedation. Now, many times there's an amnesic effect to it, so we do require that they not sign important papers that day. Any legally binding things we got to do on a different day. They do require a driver.
Do they really forget? Some people forget?
They forget everything.
Do they ever say, is it done?
We'll call the next day to make sure that they're okay, and they'll say, I have no memory of my visit at all. And so there's definitely amnesia.
That's amazing.
So that's a nice perk to it as well. And then there's other people that need to be put under completely. And so we'll bring an anesthesiologist in for that.
IV sedation.
IV sedation, yeah. And so I don't do that personally, but we bring someone in that can help. And so there's really no barrier if it's fear. We can overcome that.
So back to the categories of cosmetic dentistry. You mentioned, okay, so metal-free, getting the metal out of the mouth with tooth-colored fillings. What else?
Well, there's small things. Probably the most common thing is the teeth whitening, the bleaching. Okay. There's different styles or different levels of it. A lot of offices give it away for free because that level is just a nice start to it. We have other levels that can get teeth. People that come to me have tried whitening before and want something that works better. White means young and healthy. And so
that's a good point, okay.
Getting rid of that, now we can have crooked, ugly yellow teeth. Even crooked, ugly white teeth still looks better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And another part of cosmetics, sometimes it's the contours, the sharp teeth. Sometimes people don't like their canines are too pointy.
I told you that I have a personal friend. I've known her for 25 years, and she was known as the person with the fangs, with the pointy teeth. Really? And she got them fixed, and I said, did that used to bother you? And she said, I hated it. She goes, for like 15 years, I hated it. And one day goes in and just gets some, what do you call it, contouring? Or
enamel contouring.
But are there a lot of people like that small things could change everything, but they do nothing?
And they have no idea how simple it really is. That only takes a few minutes for us to contour it, to know how to contour it in the right way, make sure they're within the right proportions and shapes.
Okay.
It's
gaps,
fairly simple.
Is that a big one too?
Yeah,
simple?
Yeah, we call it diastemas if you really want to sound technical.
Diastema?
Yeah, I don't know what it means, but it's
well, we don't call it diastema.
Exactly, no one does.
Okay.
Some people like it, like David Letterman, Madonna, they like their gap.
Yeah, it looks good.
Other people, they specifically hate it, or they just want it less. It's kind of a family trait. They have a gap there. So many times it's a real simple procedure. We can bond something in place to fill in that gap. Or it's part of a smile makeover. We're doing an entire smile, and we correct the gap, the length of the tooth, and then the gap as well.
What about veneers?
Porcelain veneers is very, very popular.
Hot topic?
Very hot topic. It's porcelain veneers is a very conservative approach. It's a way of completely changing the smile. It allows us to change the color, the length, the shape. We actually have a catalog of styles of smiles for people to choose from. Most people don't know what style to choose, so we do coach them on what looks natural, what would fit them, so that they don't get a cookie cutter smile. Everybody walking out the office looks the same. Every smile is unique.
Now, people need to know this is a real interview. This is not staged. And I'm not trying to side with you, but one thing I will side with you is you're one of these people that really are into continuing education.
Yeah.
I mean, you've studied this, which it's hard to believe that there's that much to it. It seems,
Yeah, if you follow me on Facebook.
No disrespect, but it seems somewhat easy. But you say
We make
there's
it
so
look
much
easy.
to it. There's so much to it, you say.
We make it look easy. I'm continually going back to more classes.
Tell me about that, your background in training when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to cosmetic.
Yeah, it's not something they teach in dental school, so not every dentist is trained. They're all probably capable, but very few are really trained in all that.
Okay.
And once you start learning how to do the cosmetics, you realize there's always changes. The
Well,
materials
tell me
are
about
improving.
that. Okay, so you get out of dental school. What makes you choose to be...
Well, requests. People would come in, they say, can you do my smile? Can you fix this? And I knew the limitations of my training at that point, so I had to look into ways to improve my skills. Some of the places like the Las Vegas Institute, known as LVI, Cois Institute, many institutes are out there to help dentists learn how to do cosmetics and to do it comfortably and efficiently. I mean, we can do porcelain veneers in just 2 visits. It's not
So
something...
you brought some photos.
I did.
And we're talking about, we talked a lot about the high-end stuff, but small improvements from whitening to contouring to filling in gaps could make a big difference.
Right.
So at any budget, there's always something.
There's something I can
small.
do, and we always try to find out what type of investment people are comfortable with, because sometimes what they really want might be outside their comfort of an investment, but yet what they can afford is still something totally doable and still life-changing.
Who's coming in for this, by the way? I mean, what's the so-called demographic, I guess, of people that, I mean, do they call it a smile makeover? Do they say, hey, what could you do for my teeth?
Well, just
aside from just cleanings or whatever.
Everybody seems to want something improved. If it's just the contours, the color, and so that's usually fits in just about every budget. Some of the higher makeovers, the smile makeovers, yeah, that still fits within most people's budgets, usually within a couple $100s a month.
Do you do Invisalign where you are?
We do Invisalign. Invisalign is great for the right candidate. Not everybody is a candidate. So we'll get a lot of people coming in wanting to know, can I do Invisalign? And quite often the answer is yes, but then we tell them the process. Sometimes there's an alternative that might be better. We do 6-month braces as an alternative. It's still traditional ortho. It's brackets and
I
wires.
didn't know you did 6-month braces.
Didn't I tell you that?
We're looking for somebody in San Diego
Oh.
to get these 6-month braces. It's like an accelerated orthodontics.
Well, it's a limited
clear,
goal,
right?
Yeah, the tooth color brackets, tooth color wires. They're almost as invisible as Invisalign, almost,
Okay.
but not quite. But it gives a little more control. Invisalign has trouble rotating teeth or extruding teeth. There's certain things that it's not ideal, where 6-month braces can allow us to do that.
Is it starting to get popular?
And get more and more popular. More and more people are doing it, and so the word is getting out because of that.
And it works.
It works fantastic. I did them on my wife. I wouldn't have done it on my wife.
6-month, you call it 6-month what? 6-month
6-month
smiles?
brace, 6-month smiles.
Okay, so in traditional orthodontics is a couple of years.
Usually 2 to 3 years. That's kind of it's like the 6-minute abs. That's an average.
Well, 6 months is what? It's like
That's between a cleaning.
cleaning,
You get your teeth cleaned and put them on, and by the time you're due to get your teeth cleaned again, they're coming off.
And so when you refer to instant orthodontics, is that veneers?
That's the porcelain veneers.
Okay.
Right. Over time, our teeth are going to wear down and get shorter. We can maybe even crooked. We can do the Invisalign. We can do the 6-month braces to align everything, but that's going to take time. But it doesn't also fix the length. So the instant orthodontics or the porcelain veneers allows us to correct the
That seems
shortness.
like much easier.
It is a lot faster. Most people, by the time we explain all the different options, they really want the porcelain veneers because of that.
After talking to you, by the way, I diagnosed my friends. I said, no, I think you want veneers, or you want this, or you want that.
Yeah, you'll do that all.
Is that the way your wife is probably, because she hangs around with you all the time?
A little bit. It drives everybody crazy. No, I'm just kidding. No.
You become a dentist after a while if you're hanging out with dentists, right?
Just about. She's actually got a better eye, I think, than me half the time when she looks at someone and says, oh, their smile needs work. And I'll have to do the double take.
And some people come in and do they want all veneers? I mean, can you do that?
Yeah,
Some
you
people
can do
that?
all. Sometimes a makeover is just what shows when the person smiles. Sometimes it's every single tooth. And so I
Okay.
brought some pictures of examples
All right.
of that. So this was a case where we did do all of her teeth, her upper and lower teeth.
When you say all of the teeth, we're not talking about the back too, right?
Back in
Oh, is that right?
every single one, all
Okay.
28. Her teeth, as people get older, many times their lower teeth really show a lot more than their upper teeth. And partly because the upper teeth are a little bit shorter, showing the lower teeth even more. So we can't really do just the...
So when she comes in, like, if you could remember, like, what,
I remember all of them.
what's, because she has a pretty nice smile, though.
It's pretty nice, but she wasn't happy. She didn't like
Okay.
it. So
like, what does she say when she says on the consult? if
she
you
didn't
can
like the
remember?
colors. Some of them were worn. She actually had some of the teeth were broken. So she knew she had to do something. And so if she had enough to do, well, we might as well do it all right. She's a dress designer in Orange County. She's successful. So it was actually kind of holding her back because she's on the catwalk.
It holds you back, I guess, if it bothers you, right?
Right. It doesn't bother other people, but for her, it was bothering her.
Okay, okay.
So as soon as I knew what she wanted to accomplish, it kind of helped me decide what her different options were. Options were a little bit limited because whitening wasn't going to work. She had some teeth that already had restorations, so the restorations can't be bleached. With the broken teeth, we knew we had to do restorations on those, which led to her overall full-on.
So how do you help? You know, my fear would be that I end up with those big, giant veneers, which is what I think of when I think of veneers. I feel like I could spot them walking down the street.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a fear of theirs as well?
Some people, when I bring up the option of a smile makeover or porcelain veneers, they've heard of like something about Mary, where the guy had the really big, bulky teeth. And
but they're out there.
There are dentists.
So is that the dentist or is that the patient wanted the big teeth?
Sometimes the patient wants the big teeth, but usually it's showing the lack of skill of the dentist, the lack of experience.
Like their eye, or it's the experience?
It's partly the eye. They're trying to be too conservative with their approach, and so the material has to be a certain thickness, and so it will be thick if we don't remove a little bit of tooth structure.
Okay, okay.
So with her, we were able to design her smile. We use a computer to take photos.
So you show her what it's going to look like?
To show her a mock-up, a digital mock-up of what the smile could look like. We could show her that they're going to be longer. We could fill in. Many times we call it the buccal corridors or the cheeks. There can be kind of a hollow look to it. By filling that in with the porcelain, we can complete their smile, fill it all up.
So with her, is she like an ideal candidate? Like when you look at her on the consult,
she was perfect.
This is going to be good.
I knew it was going to be a home run.
Do you tell them that?
Because I've been there before.
Do you tell them that?
I tell them.
Boy, this is going to be good.
Absolutely. I tell them that your case is going to be great. You're going to love your smile, and here's what we can do for you. So we have certain parameters or golden proportions we want the teeth to fall within. As long as the proportions are met, everything's going to look natural. So it's going to fall into place. So if it's well planned, the way we plan them, it's going to look natural.
Okay. So when it's done, so it's all done, and this is nice. It's very nice.
You can tell she smiles bigger. She's happier. Her personality comes out better. She tells me that she feels like a better person. She feels younger. She is more confident. So
yeah, I mean, obviously looks natural, very natural.
Right, natural, healthy, youthful. She feels younger. She's more confident when she's on stage. She does some home shopping network work that she is more comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah, I mean, in the after, and I keep saying it, I'm not trying to side with you here, but in the after, she really does look almost more sophisticated.
I want to point out a couple of small little things that really make the difference in her smile. Because of her confidence, because she knows her smile is nice, her cheeks raise up a little bit more.
Like in the after and the before side by side.
If you look at before and after, you can tell the corners of her mouth are different. And this part of it's the position, and with that new position, we definitely had to have the teeth fill in that space that she didn't otherwise have.
What about men? Are more and more men doing this?
You know, we did
real men?
Real men. Yeah, we looked at our charts, and I think we had more men at one point coming in for this than women, where I would have thought it would be mostly women.
Okay.
But you know, men are doing this because of they're image conscious too.
Yeah.
So like this is this one is an example of a person who if you look at how worn his teeth are,
yeah,
he looks like an old man. And he had worn his teeth over time. They just were shorter. He was chipped and worn teeth.
So on the consult, what does he come in to say, for example?
Well, he originally came in because he had fillings that kept coming out. He had worn his teeth so short that the dentist that he had been seeing previously kept putting fillings in there that wouldn't stay. And it really, because of the bite, how much tooth structure was left, was the reason for those failures. So he came originally not really for a smile makeover. He came because the function was not working. And so we had to restore the length. We had to restore the function so that the teeth would be durable.
Okay.
So we're not always doing smile makeovers because they're pretty. Many times it's for the function.
Okay, let's take a look at the after. Okay, so oh wow.
So by adding a couple millimeters of length, a real old look is when a person smiles and you don't see teeth. The teeth are so worn you can't see them at all. So we were able to add a few millimeters of length. So when he does smile, when he does talk, you can see some teeth. So he looks a lot younger. So if you also look at the curves of the teeth shouldn't be flat. They shouldn't just be straight across.
All right.
And so by adding the length, by adding the curves, having it follow his lip, the lip line is what we call it. By having it follow that, looks a lot more natural. It fills everything in.
Interesting. So do they smile more? because of this?
They're finding that they do smile a lot more. Sometimes unintentionally. They don't.
People are dating into their 80s, 90s.
We're getting people that are back into the dating scene, and they know they need to do an upgrade so they can be more successful.
Do they do this because of an event, getting married?
And that's usually one of the first questions we ask. What kind of time frame are we in? Are you getting married soon, or are you going to be in a photo lineup real soon? Because sometimes that's going to limit what we can, our choices. And so weddings is probably the most common. They hadn't thought about that. Returning to the dating. Unfortunately,
divorce
marriages aren't lasting like they used to.
Okay.
So people are back in the dating scene. Their teeth are 30 years older than they were when they were last in the dating scene. So we need to upgrade that. So, but let me show you a real dramatic, life-changing one.
All right.
This was one that I really like. This is, if you look at the before, her smile picture in the before was forced. You could tell it was almost painful for her. She almost looks pained in the before picture because of she didn't like her smile. She wasn't happy, and really, honestly, her unhappiness was apparent in the workplace.
So she didn't show her teeth when she smiled. I mean, she
never.
Up.
She would do whatever it took not to smile.
Did it make her look mean?
People thought grumpy. I think was the most common word.
Okay.
Stuck up. It was another. People either think you're stuck up or you're grumpy if you're not smiling and friendly.
All right.
So she came in. Hers was a really involved case. We had to move some of the teeth to get them in the ideal position. So hers was a combination case. We did some braces. Then we did the porcelain veneers.
How many years was she like this?
She was like that for 44 years.
Really?
Grumpy for 44.
So she didn't like her smile for 40 years?
Not at all.
Interesting.
Not at all. It was holding her back. She knew it was holding her back. And so she came in looking for a solution. She didn't know what it was, what it would take. And so we were able to go through all the different choices.
Do they say things like, Dr. Timmerman, this is probably the worst you've ever seen?
Yeah, most people think that they're the worst ever. And so I like to be able to tell them, I've seen worse. It's not my first rodeo.
Okay.
So.
All right. So with her, I mean, this is a challenging situation, I guess, for you. But do you still see that it's going to be good?
I know that it's going to have many steps involved. It's not challenging as in I'm not sure I can do it. We know what the solution is going to be. They have to be committed to the process. Sometimes, in her case, it was a little bit longer than 2 visits.
Okay.
We did a little bit of braces to line everything up, and then we did the porcelain veneers. But she changed everything about her.
Look at this after. I mean, this is really...
Yeah, it was a dramatic change. Her position at work, she actually got a promotion. She's very active in her church, and so they made her the greeter as people would come into the congregation. So she had a very public makeover as well. And everybody's saying, "Wow, you're so much friendlier, so happy."
When it's all done, she looks at her teeth, and they're. I mean, what does she say? Is it emotional for them? For her?
Absolutely. She'll usually cry when she comes in to thank us. Comes back to get her teeth cleaned, and she's always giving us the hugs. So it was a dramatic change.
And you definitely would perceive this woman differently. Let's say at a job interview or
absolutely.
Whatever. Very interesting.
Well, and now she's more confident. Not just being happy and less grumpy, but now she isn't bashful anymore. She was a little bit more reserved previously. She had to tell me that. I didn't know that initially. But her confidence, it really shows.
Now, one of the things you said, because I asked you how long she was like, for 40 years she didn't like her smile.
Right.
Okay. And that's a lot of people, right? They don't
Right.
like their smile for a long time or like something about themselves. So what made her wait? Was it just finances or fear of the dentist or thinking it wasn't possible? Or a combination
It's
of
really
everything?
a combination of the whole thing. A lot of people don't know what is possible out there, what dentistry can do. And so as we start to show them what the choices are, many times they're like, I never even knew this was a choice.
Because you could do one thing at a time, like stage this whole thing.
Correct.
Over time, like fix little things or whatever. I don't know.
Depending on the situation, sometimes we can phase it, and we'll do a few things in the posterior and then eventually in the anterior. Sometimes, though, it really is better to do it all at once. But
this is an obvious question, but answer. But I mean, is that gratifying for you?
Absolutely.
Like this kind of a thing?
This is why I get up in the morning.
When it's all done?
Yeah. It's very personally satisfying knowing that I didn't just fix a tooth. I didn't just take them out of pain, but I changed her life.
Okay, good. We have time for one more.
Okay.
I think you have one more. No, a couple more.
I got a couple more.
Let's try to jam them in here.
Yeah, this was one where that diastema, that word that I taught you earlier, that gap.
Oh, the gap.
So
that's right.
This is one where he was very conscious of his smile. In fact, the before picture, I had to coerce him to give me a smile.
You had to force him to smile.
I definitely had to force him.
Please smile for the photo.
It was painful for all of us to try to take that photo. And so,
Okay.
But when we were all done, I thought it would be a little easier to. He'd been so ingrained to not smile. I had to get basically a feather out there to tickle him.
You were tickling him?
And I had to time my
You're kidding
camera.
about the tickling, right? You were tickling him?
Well,
kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of nudging him a little.
A little bit. I had to, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to buy a feather, but for the next time. But yeah, he.
Okay. So when it's done, and this is a great photo.
So we had to coach him when we were
Looks like
taking
$1
the
million
picture.
here.
We had to train him on the new way to smile because he's not used to it.
Still not smiling, even
he
though those
smiles.
teeth look great.
Yeah. Now when he's coming back, we're getting his teeth cleaned. He smiles very easily, but
Good.
he had to learn.
Interesting, interesting. Time for one more.
Now you'll look here, beautiful woman, but the smile was really holding her back. You know,
Okay.
she didn't like it. She had pointed canines. The eye teeth there were pointy. She had some black triangles between the teeth. There was a lot of little things that she didn't like. We had many different options. The color we could have just bleached, but it wasn't going to fix the pointiness. So we did pour some veneers. We just did 10 veneers on her. We didn't do all of her teeth. But if you look in the after picture, the way her lip covers
Beautiful.
the lower teeth, you know, she really only needed
Wow.
that smile. Yeah,
Well,
she's a
that,
beautiful woman, even more beautiful now with the beautiful
Pretty smile. There's no doubt about it.
Smile absolutely accentuates her overall look.
And again, I mean, she's not 18 years old, but I mean, is this another person that, you know, didn't like their smile for a long time?
She was self-conscious for many years.
Okay.
She's still a fairly young woman, but yeah, absolutely hated her smile.
And these look
finally,
natural, by the way. I said at the beginning, I could spot veneers walking down the street.
Not mine.
It's one of my things that my son and I, we know, those are veneers, or at least I tell him.
Uh-huh.
But this looks very natural.
Very natural. And I use a talented ceramist. I'm half the equation. I have to have a lab that's capable of making beautiful art.
That makes those teeth. And what does she say when it's all done? Do you remember?
Just tears of joy.
Really? Okay, good. We're out of time completely. And by the way, great stuff, great photos. These are on your website as well?
They are.
Okay, final message, somebody watching this, they don't like their smile. But for whatever reason, they're still nervous. They're worried about the outcome, the expense, pain, whatever. What do you say to them?
Just come on in. We can find out what we can do that's going to fit within their comfort zone, whether it be
Okay.
financial or pain. We can overcome anything.
And they get to see you
They get to see me.
on the consult?
Yeah, they
All
do.
I want to thank you so much for
All right.
coming on the show again. And really, really impressive photos here. You've been watching The Wellness Hour, leader in medical news and information. I'm Randy Alvarez. If you'd like to see this interview again online, you can visit our website at wellnesshour.com. Put in Dr. Timmerman. You'll find him there. For now, I wish you could help.
Thanks for watching The Wellness Hour, the leader in medical news with your host, Randy Alvarez, the authority on health issues.